Ask trustees to take their seats, please. Who do I have? Do I have my friend here? No, not yet. Call the meeting to order and ask you to stand with us for the national anthem.
We would like to acknowledge
that we are here today
on the traditional territory
of the Mississaugas of the New Credit First Nation.
Nous tenons à reconnaître que
nous sommes sur le territoire traditionnel
des Mississaugas de la
Première Nation de New Credit.
Good evening. Welcome back. Happy New Year. All those good things that are about to happen within the next week, I'd say. So it's good to be back, and I hope that everybody had time to do a little personal business, whatever that was. I hope that it was enjoyable, and I can tell from just this evening how enthusiastic and energetic our team is to get back at it and help our students. So congratulations on that, and we look forward to the coming year. I have a couple of introductions to do that I'd like to. First of all, this is the first time that our student trustees have been at the table, and I would like to welcome Trustee Oris. Never mind. Now, this is one of my weaknesses, but don't. Nadenova. There you go. And Trustee Oris Nadenona represents, comes from Clarkson, but represents our students in the South, and we've had a good conversation already. And Trustee Chandrian, go ahead, tell me how. Chongkrian? I'll get it. I'll work on it. I promise. And she comes from, she goes to school at Harold Braithwaite, but represents students in the North. So I want to welcome both of you ladies to the board table. As I said, we had a good conversation this afternoon. I gave you a few ideas on how to rabble-rouse a bit and get some student involvement into the board discussions. And I hope, and I know that you'll enjoy this work. It is very satisfying, good work. So congratulations on your election and welcome to the board. I can't remember if I've introduced our superintendent of special education. who's already been studiously looking at something, but Sean Moynihan rejoins our board. Did I do this before, Sean? I don't know. It's been 2 months, so let's just say I didn't. Sean Moynihan rejoins our board, and we welcome him, and we're glad to have him. And his area of expertise for the next little while will be the superintendent of special education support services. So Sean, we look forward to working with you as well. That is all the announcements I have, and I don't have any changes to the agenda. So would someone move it? Trustee McDonald, Trustee Green, any questions or comments or additions? All those in favor? Carried. There are no special presentations this evening, but I do have a comment or a statement that I wish to make public at this time. Last spring in June, the board was debating a motion from Trustee K. McDonald about targeted hiring of black male teachers. I realize now that although my position has not changed over these last couple of months, that I should have chosen my words better. I was maybe a little over-exuberant or maybe a little too passionate about the subject matter, and I realize that that my words, as I said, my words could have been chosen wiser. So I apologize to Trustee McDonald and any of the public that were here and felt offended. It was never my intention to do so. I would like now to ask for if there are any declarations of conflict of interest. Seeing none, then we'll go to minutes. 3.2, which is the audit committee of June 14th. 3.3, which is a regular meeting of the board, June 19th. 3.4 is the supplementary meeting of the board, July 12th. They're here for receipt and for approval of 3.3. I'll ask Trustee Andrews, will you put them on the floor? Thank you. Seconded by Trustee Singh. Any questions, comments, omissions, errors? I see none. All those in favor? Carried. We'll move on then. Are there any written questions or notices of motion or petitions from trustees? Oh, we've been busy. Trustee Nurse.
Thank you, through you, Madam Chair. And this is a notice of motion, and I'll read it. Whereas elected officials must maintain high standards of ethical behavior as outlined in their code of conduct in order to be an effective and credible governing body. And whereas the cities of Mississauga and Brampton, the town of Caledon, as well as other school boards employ the services of an integrity commissioner to both advise elected officials on their obligations and responsibilities under their code of conduct and investigate complaints on alleged breaches of said conduct. Therefore, be it resolved that the Peel District School Board begin the process of hiring an integrity commissioner with the intended engagement date of no later than December 31st of 2018. And I'm hoping we'll be able to debate that at the next meeting.
Okay. And you'll hand that in.
Absolutely.
So we can get it accurately. Okay, thank you. Ooh, I'm not very good with this right hand. Trustee K. McDonald.
Thank you. Through you, Chair. I have a couple questions regarding the state of affairs for VP allocations, TA allocations, and TBA allocations, which is the behavioral teaching assistants. Sorry, BTA allocations. It is my understanding that currently it is heavily driven based on enrollment numbers. However, as the board embarks on an effort for equitable distribution of resources, including our human resources, I would like, if possible, if the senior administration could please provide a report on how VP allocations are currently done and what plans they have in terms of making it more equitable, especially considering our kids in poverty. Now I know in our in-committee, Director Joshua said that they were bringing forward a poverty report, so I guess you could bring it forward in that report. Thank you.
I don't know when that report will be ready. I think it would be easier if we took the question on its own.
Okay,
and-
sure.
And answered it, because I think it's a fairly easy question to answer.
Okay.
I mean, we do have a formula, we talk about it every year, so I don't think it's onerous to the staff. So I would ask that you keep it clean and just ask the question and expect the answer,
Okay then, thank you.
okay? It is a written question, correct? Yes, so it's okay, so you'll hand it in so that staff will know. Trustee DeKroob.
Thank you. This is a notice of motion. Whereas building and maintaining a strong relationship with our labor partners is of paramount importance during these uncertain times, whereas creating a space or forum such as a committee to work through systemic or common concerns before they become larger issues will give us a greater understanding of frontline experience, especially in cases where other avenues have not been adequate to address these issues. Whereas creating a space where concerns can be discussed before we make organizational changes would lead to a reduction in grievances, which would ultimately save the board and the public very large sums of money. Be it resolved that the Peel District School Board creates a committee titled Trustee Labor Advisory Committee. Be it further resolved that the committee include members of the board along with Peel District School Board labor leaders. Thank you.
Okay, and you will hand that one in
I
as
will.
well. Thank you. And I think all of them can be ready and debated at the next board meeting. I don't know, September 13th. Okay, all right. Any others? Seeing none. Let's move on then to section 6, which is 6.1 through 6.3. First of all, would someone put section 6 on the floor for receipt? Trustee Williams, thank you. Trustee DeKroob. So let's, if there's, you want to speak to any of the items in section 6, just indicate. Trustee Crocker.
Thank you, Chair. I'm unhappy with simply receiving the letter from the Elementary Teachers Federation without some notice of support from ourselves. So with the permission of the board and understanding that I would need a 2/3 majority to carry on, I do have a motion which I would like to deal with this evening.
Okay, can I ask you to hold that for just a minute until we've discussed the rest of the 6 package in case there are other people who wish to speak to any of that package?
Certainly, Chair.
Trustee DeKroob, you have a point of order.
Yes, I don't believe that he needs 2/3 because it's already on the agenda.
Well, it is business arising from the agenda.
Yeah.
But I think the board may not want to discuss it.
But I don't think
Oh, you're suggesting it was just a simple majority?
I'm suggesting that if it's business arising from the agenda, we have to deal with it today unless we vote to defer it.
That's fine, okay.
So we don't need to vote on dealing with it. Unless someone puts a motion to defer it until next meeting, Trustee Crocker can go ahead and deal with this today. Or have this dealt with today. We've done this before. I have.
I hear you. And I will rule that it is from 6.3 because I know what the motion is. I think we all know what the motion is because Trustee Crocker sent it to us. So it's not unfamiliar to us. So I will allow him to put that motion on the floor after we've finished with section 6. Again, it's up to trustees whether or not they want to deal with it tonight or defer it till the next board meeting or approve it or I don't think we need 2/3. He can put it on the floor, you can deal with it and you can refer it or you can deal with it. Well, it's business arising. I'm talking to Trustee McDonald now. So it is business arising based on 6.3. So you can put a motion on the floor suggesting that it's coming from the business that was arising on the agenda. There goes Trustee McDonald into his bylaws. That's good. Anyway, Section 6. Does anybody have anything to speak to around Section 6? I see you do not, but I would like to highlight the lovely thank you note from the Britannia Schoolhouse. We did do a very nice thank you to them on their 50th, I think it was their 50th year. No, the old it's program over the past 25 years. Where have I been? 25 years, but for those who don't know, we have a group called the Friends of the Britannia Schoolhouse, and that's our little 17th century schoolhouse on the property, and they take care of it voluntarily. And it is a pride building of this board. So again, I want to thank them for doing that, but I mostly want to remind trustees that we're coming to the end of our 4-year term, and I know that all of your money goes to very good causes, but I believe that this is a priority. So if you can take a look at any of the discretionary money that you have left and send a little towards the Britannia Schoolhouse Friends, that I know that they would gratefully receive it and would put it to very good use. Thank you. So does anyone want to speak to 6.3? I mean, I'll let Trustee Crocker go ahead, but, oh, yes, here we go. Trustee Singh. Whoops, sorry. Trustee Singh.
Are we talking about the motion, or can I put a motion on to defer?
Pardon me, I'm sorry.
Can I put a motion on to defer?
No, it isn't even on the table yet, Trustee Singh.
Can I put a motion on to defer?
No, because it's not even on the floor yet.
Oh, I have to be received. Okay.
There's nothing to defer yet.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you. Just with regard to 6.3, I think all of us who are involved in education understand what is happening with regard to the HPE curriculum and the directions that the government has given to all school boards. And this letter is from our Elementary Teachers Federation of Ontario, and it is suggesting that teachers do not need to comply with ministry directions. And I would just like to say, and I know that our director has been quite vocal and I think pretty clear and specific around what the direction is in Peel towards our teachers and support staff in classrooms, and that is in everyone's best interests that we follow the law, and the law is the government, and the government is the Premier. And so we would not want to put any of our staff or any of this or the board in a position that was illegal or unlawful. It would only come to negative consequences for this board. And so although the union has decided to take this position, our position as a board is that we will comply with the Education Act and the direction of the province, the Premier, and the ministry. So we will be working closely with the ministry to make sure that this is clear and concise, but at the moment I think our director has sent messages that I hope that our teachers are very clear on what is expected of them within the HPE curriculum and what they should be teaching in their classrooms. That's all I had to say about it. So, Director Joshua, do you want to say anything more than what I just said? because I wouldn't want to put words in your mouth.
Through you, Chair, I will be later on in the agenda. I'll
Okay.
speak
All right.
to some of the specifics in terms of how we are going to be supporting our educators in classrooms. Our curriculum and instructional support staff have been working diligently to develop some clear messaging around what is in the reissued elementary HPE curriculum, resources and supports, so that they have some clarity around what can be taught and how effectively they can address the human rights and the safety and equity and inclusion of all of our students.
Thank you. So I would, Trustee Crocker, you want to speak to a motion, don't you? That's why you're on my screen? Yes. Okay, but for now, I'd like someone to move receipt of Section 6. Trustee K. McDonald, seconded by Trustee B. McDonald. All those in favor? It's carried. Now, Trustee Crocker, I will allow you to introduce a motion that is based on the letter of 6.3.
Thank you.
The topic is based on that letter.
Thank you, Chair. And I appreciate what you said, and I have no intention of, well, I can't remember exactly what it was you said, being non-compliant. This is not about non-compliance. It's a positive motion. Be it resolved that the Peel District School Board supports our educators' professional judgment in delivering curriculum that focuses on student safety, wellness, and inclusivity. That's moved by myself and seconded by Trustee Lawton. May I speak to the motion, Chair?
Yes, you may.
So, Chair, I read the news and I follow social media, and I try to do this objectively, but I can't claim any more than anyone else to be unbiased. As most of you know, I'm a former teacher myself, and I'm happiest when we leave the teachers alone and let them do their work. Supply whatever supports are required, praise them whenever we can, which is easy enough when the evidence is plain to see when we visit our schools. And it's as personal for me as it is for others. I have a grandson who turns 4 tomorrow and is off to kindergarten at a PDSB school. I think he's a little unclear on what happens exactly. He has an idea that birthday's one day and then he's off to kindergarten the next. I don't know whether he'll be pleased or disappointed in having to wait till Tuesday, but wait till Tuesday he will. I wish to make reference, Chair, to last Thursday's Globe, Toronto Globe and Mail. Top of the fold, Ford extends education consultation beyond sex ed. I read this very avidly. Well, this is what I read in part, as I guess we probably all did. As part of his announcement, Mr. Ford also threatened to discipline educators who defy his government's order to use a 20-year-old sex education curriculum, and launched a platform for parents to anonymously report concerns on what is being taught in classrooms. And then there was a quote: "We will not tolerate anybody using our children as pawns for grandstanding and political games." I hadn't read on yet, so I thought that quote was from somebody on the other side, but it turned out these were the Premier's words himself. He went on to say, "And make no mistake, if we find somebody failing to do their job, we will act." I was disturbed by that, Chair. As trustees, we can't predict or control what Mr. Ford might do, and that's not our job. But I would like teachers to feel reassured that the board will not discipline outside the usual protocols. And I'm disturbed at the notion of an anonymous snitch line in Canada, in democratic Canada in 2018. I'd like to make reference as well to the Saturday Star. And some of you may have seen this too. It's a full-page ad paid for by the Elementary Teachers Federation of Ontario. It says, "We can't let the government ignore the issues our kids face every day. Let's stand together for the modern curriculum they deserve." And that's in big print. It goes on to say a modern health curriculum can save kids' lives. A modern health curriculum can save kids' lives. Solid research, teaching experience, and extensive public consultation all support it. It's what our kids deserve, and it's what they need to keep them safe. Rest assured that no matter what happens with the curriculum, teachers will continue to create a safe and welcoming environment for all students and their families. Now, Chair, I think that's something we can all get behind. You can't say it better than that. And my motion simply reaffirms that we trust the professional judgment of those whose responsibility it is to deliver the curriculum. Teachers, TAs, school administrators, and all those who are responsible directly or indirectly for instruction will know that the board has their backs. Like it says in the ad, a modern health curriculum can save kids' lives. I believe that our message to the teachers should be, the board is with you in this, and together we will get through it. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. So, that's the motion. If you wish to speak to the motion, you can indicate so. Nobody wants to say a word? Okay. Sorry, my right hand doesn't work as well. Trustee Cameron.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Chair. I would like to just add a couple of things. One, I did appreciate Director Joshua's message out to our system, which helped to provide a balanced statement as to our support for our teachers, schools, administrators, children, families, while recognizing that the government has dictated how this needs to go. In my area, almost every school has tweeted that, has added it somewhere for all to read. But I really do understand that foe's frustration, and every teacher from grade 1 to grade 8 that must be feeling this today. Personally and professionally, I can't understand why a government would do this. We have a modern health curriculum now that had been developed, and this board stood together to ensure that it could be, and it would be implemented. And so that was developed in 2015. So the government now will take us back to 1998, although they frame it as 2014, but it's really from 1998. And so that's a change in 1 year from 2015 to 1998. And then they're going to take a year of consultation, and that will take us, and then they'll introduce another curriculum, presumably, and that will bring us to 2019. So teachers, children, families, administrators will have gone through 3 changes of curriculum and expectations in terms of delivery in 3 years. This is unusual and unfair, in my opinion. I will be supporting this motion. I don't have any grandchildren, one day, but I feel strongly that this is a statement of, indeed, a very appropriate support, that the Peel Board supports our educators' professional judgment in delivering curriculum that focuses on student safety, wellness, and inclusivity. I'm with that statement and with Trustee Crocker on this. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Trustee Green.
No, thank you. I know the intent of the motion is a good intent, but I just got a couple of concerns, and I would maybe like some more discussion around this, because I know that our staff know that we support them. I know that our staff know that the government don't, other than the things that they mandated, and we have to follow that to make sure that they're in place, they don't dictate and run how our staff do their job. We got a good relationship here in Peel with our federations, and we have good collective agreement in place that supports our staff and protect our staff, and to ensure that they know that they will not be a discipline for any punitive reasons. having a motion to make that statement, because to me, the motion is it's a little bit vague, and I would like to see a little bit more beef on it. If we're going to make a motion, I would like to see something in place with some beef in it that's a strong message, clear, because I know that the relationship that we have with our staff and I hear this across all the time when I meet at the Ontario School Board Association and with the other boards. The relationship that we have here in Peel with our staff and our federation is superb and above, can't compare to the rest. And I believe that our federation and our staff know that this board support them 110%, and we will not support anything that will do anything or penalize our staff for any punitive stuff. And yes, we need to make a stand and let our staff know that this board support them. But putting a motion, my colleague, Trustee Crocker, I know the intent of the motion, but I would like to see a little bit more beef on it and a little bit more some clear messaging around it. I'm not saying that I'm not going to support the motion, but would it able for us to say maybe defer the motion to our next board meeting so we could have some discussion around this and maybe beef this thing up basically if we're gonna take a stand, because
Trustee
right now,
Green, Trustee Green, then I understand you're being friendly and everything, but are you putting a motion of referral or deferral on the board?
I would like to refer it so that we can have some discussion around it. I don't know if my colleagues would agree with me in that, but as I said, in the meantime, I want our staff to know and our federation know the relationship that we have and the support that they have from this board. Nothing that this government do is going to sever that.
So you're putting a motion of deferral on
Yes.
on the table?
Yes.
Do you have a seconder for that motion? Seconded by Trustee B. McDonald. So on the floor now is the motion to defer. Are there any speakers to deferral? Now, Trustee Williams, I have you on my list, but you must speak to deferral.
I would be speaking to the original motion. So I know we have to deal with the deferral before we go back to original motion.
Yes.
So I'll save my comment for that.
Okay. Trustee Crocker, you can speak to the motion to defer.
Thank you, Chair. I'm going to speak against the motion, but with thanks to Trustee Green, I sense his support here, and I appreciate that. And I would be happy to listen to a further motion in 2 weeks' time, or at a later meeting, and to see what the nature of that beef is that he's talking about. And perhaps he could view this simply then as a beginning of that dialogue, as a starting point, and we'll see where it goes. But I'm happy with the motion the way it stands, and I would ask my trustee colleagues to deal with it tonight.
Thank you. Trustee DeKroob, to deferral.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My colleagues seem to love to refer and defer motions, and I don't really understand it half the time. There's a motion in front of you, and you either support it or you don't support it. You refer or defer when you need more information, when you need, a little bit, when you're looking for something, you need to dig into something. There's a bit more research. There's a letter in front of you. There's a motion in front of you. I don't understand what we're hoping is going to happen in 2 weeks. Trustee Green said that he is not happy with how beefed up the motion or whatever it is, and that's fine. But if we come back in 2 weeks and the motion is not going to change, because then it's going to be a whole new issue of friendly amendment or unfriendly amendment or amendment of some sort. This is the motion. It's in front of us. Trustee Crocker made it clear that this is what it is and he's happy with it. We're not looking for more information. We're not expecting a report from staff. So referring and deferring, honestly, sometimes is just a waste of time. And it's unnecessary, and it doesn't get us anywhere. All it does is that it creates more work and more items on the agenda for the following meeting. And it doesn't get us anywhere. So, I don't know, for me, if I read and understand a motion and I'm not waiting for any more information that's going to come from anywhere else, I don't understand the point of referral and deferral, which happens a lot around here.
Okay, thank you. Trustee K. McDonald.
Thank you. Through you, Chair, I'm actually supporting the deferral because I have some concerns and I need more information, because I need to understand fully the legal implications about what this board is about to do if we pass this motion. Because on the surface, it might appear to be an innocent motion affirming our confidence in our staff. However, especially based on the preamble, it may be taken by some as define the Ministry of Education. So I think we need to be extremely clear as to what we, by approving this motion, will be doing, and I think we should get legal advice. I met with one of what, in my opinion, the most brilliant political minds around today, and such a motion or intent has never been done before, and I think we are going into some uncharted waters. This is highly political, and I don't think it's a waste of time, because I think we're opening a Pandora's box, and we have to see just what message we will be sending to the system by approving this motion. So I think we should defer it and get some more advice and take some more time to really understand what this means to us as a board. Thank you.
Thank you. So we're still speaking to deferral, and I don't have any other speakers. So I will go, who moved it? Yeah, Trustee Green closed it. So Trustee Green, it's your opportunity.
Thank you. And, I've been at this board 15 years. And over those 15 years, as a board, I believe that we have a process in where we do things to ensure that we are doing things that are going to support not only our staff, our student, but all stakeholders involved, and at the same time protect this board. And I know our federation, because I have conversation with our federation. We all have conversation with our federators. They know where we stand and how, the support that we have and the working relationship we have. And I know some of them are here tonight and can go, and they can even send an email out to let the staff know that we support them. And we are not going to do anything punitive. And the thing is that happened, and that's why we have collective agreement. Those collective agreement is clear. We can't just go around and discipline staff because the premier tell us to do so, or to tell us to spy on our staff. But at the same time, we need to understand, there's some legality, because I just came back from the Ontario School Board Association executive meeting yesterday. And we are at that table still having discussion around the legality and the information, how we message board and how to deal with this. And therefore, and that's why I am saying to my colleague trustees that I want this, I'm all in favor of the motion, but I want to have those discussions. I want to make sure that when we make a decision, it's not going to come back to bite us in the butt. And therefore, I'm going to ask my trustee colleague that there is no rush to do this, This is only 2 weeks, and we convene a meeting, have a wholesome discussion, maybe get some legal advice around this before we jump ahead and do stuff. Because this is, as Trustee McDonald said, this got 2 implications to it. There's 2 sectors to this motion. And I want to make sure that we are not treading into waters that we can't come back out of. But again, I'm going to ask my colleague, let's take that time and do this and do it right. If we're going to support us, send a message to our staff, let's do it the right way. And I know our staff would agree with us because our staff also supports us and don't want to see something come back that will affect or impact these boards. Thank you.
So the motion is on the floor. Trustee DeCrube, if you're not in your chair, you won't be counted. We are. So the motion is for deferral to the next board meeting. Obviously giving you opportunity to ask any of your questions around, of staff before that meeting. All those in favor of deferral? All those opposed to deferral? So the motion fails. So we are back to the motion that is now on the floor, as it was read by Trustee Crocker. So now, if you wish to speak to the motion, Trustee Williams, it's all yours.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I know that the motion is with good intention. My question would be to administration. If this motion passes tonight, it passes. If it doesn't pass, it fails. Now my question to administration, if this motion passes, how will it impact the ministry's directive?
So push your button, and I will turn your mic on.
Through you, Madam Chair, we are providing, and we were actually working very specifically on providing resources and supports so that our educators can, in fact, do their role in taking ministry direction. The curriculum that is developed is the role of the ministry. However, it is the educator's role to look at that curriculum and look at their instructional practice, bearing in mind the importance of the needs of each of their students, their safety and well-being, as well as an adherence to human rights legislation and their moral obligation to ensure equity and inclusion. So we're confident that our teachers, who are professionals and will use their professional judgment, will be able to address the needs of our students while adhering to the curriculum, and we will support that.
So, do we specify what part of the curriculum that they should not be teaching, the current one?
So go ahead.
So
Yes.
through you, Madam Chair, this is really the essence of my oral report, but I'm happy to speak to it now. What our Curriculum and Instruction Support Department has already done, they've looked at the reissued elementary HPE curriculum, which was revised in 2010 with some specific attention to the physical education portion of the curriculum, healthy eating, personal safety and injury prevention, substance use, addictions, and related behaviors. The areas around human development and sexual health, human growth and development, are different, and our staff are going to outline the differences between the two curricula and how to effectively teach with the curriculum that is in front of them. And then we're asking them to hold off on the sections of human growth and development that are not covered in this revised curriculum, and will provide some resources, supports, some lesson starters to help them address the areas that are not addressed in the curriculum. We know that there is legislation with respect to human rights, safe schools, etc., and our own board policies and procedures that our educators will certainly want to align with, and we will provide that level of support so that this can be covered to meet the needs of students across the curricula, outside of the HPE curriculum.
Okay, I'm not sure if you do answer my question specifically. The question, let me repeat. You understand the nature of this motion, and if it passes, how will that impact, what impact will that have on the ministry's directive based on this motion?
Oh, hang on. There you go.
So if I understand the motion correctly, I believe that we'll be able to support our staff with resources so that they can utilize the revised curriculum. Yeah.
Still, is the legal ramification Rick is asking about?
Yes.
And how that will come back.
That's one aspect
to
of it.
this board, that will impact this board if this motion passes. That's what he's asking.
So my recommendation at this time, based on what we've determined, is that we adhere to ministry direction with respect to the curriculum, that we are at risk if we are not following ministry direction with respect to the curriculum.
Okay, so in other words, this would contravene the minister's directive.
If they are not to follow the HPE curriculum as it's been outlined, our concern would be that that's contravening, yes.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Without prejudicing the board, I think, and I don't want to speak for the director, but I think what he's trying to say is it is possible that it would be interpreted as contravening. It is possible. I'm not saying it would be, and I know that that's not the intent of the mover, but it is, from personal experience, it is possible that you interpret things the way you want to interpret them. That's as close, I think, as we can get. Trustee Green.
Well, I think I made my point because, as I said, I would love to support my colleague's motion, but here, because the motion is not clear, the ministry could read into this motion and read based and not the intent of the motion, and read into it that this is the defiance of their directive, and this could come back and on the board. And that's the reason why I would have wanted some legal advice around this. So I am right at this time, I'm going to ask a question: is anybody, any staff that can advise in the legality around should we defile the ministry directive, because the motion is somewhat vague, and because the motion is somewhat vague, the wrong intent could read into the motion, and that's what I'm concerned about, and what would happen if the ministry read into it that we defile their motion. What could happen to this board?
Trustee Green, you know that we don't have a legal counsel staff member who is a lawyer. Therefore, I'll save everybody. And I don't think anybody's opinion should be raised because they aren't lawyers. That includes the directors. I think he's tried to be as clear as he can.
Okay.
He's not a lawyer. None of us are lawyers. There are no lawyers in this room.
Okay. And I understand that.
Unless we have one in the audience.
And that is the reason why I think waiting 2 weeks is not going to hurt this motion, right? And let's get that clarification and do it right. Thanks.
Yes. Thank you. Trustee Andrews. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me, okay. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I'm good. Okay, sorry. I agree with the motion with, that it's with good intention. However, I'm a little confused. Is the motion specific to HPE? Because if that's the case, or that's what everybody is referring to, or is the intent more general? Because there's no mention of HPE in the motion. However, that's what everybody is talking about and referring to. And I would think that our staff, our educators, that it's their job to use professional judgment. So again, I'm not sure if the motion is necessary. I'm confused. I don't know what the intent is because, as I said, it's their job to use professional judgment in delivering the curriculum, no matter what that is. And we have to follow the ministry's directive anyways. So, I don't know if Trustee Crocker can clear that up. But
So
I'm just-
Trustee Andrews, I'll ask Trustee Crocker, although this was business arising from 6.3, but I'll ask Trustee Crocker for what his intention is when you wrote the motion.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. And I've been listening respectfully to my trustee colleagues' views, and I appreciate them. So I think I have an answer for Trustee Andrews and Trustee Green as well, who struck me was asking something the same sort of question. I don't think it's vague at all, with the exception of the word support. Supports is a word which sort of crept into the education business in the last decade, and support can mean all kinds of things. It reminds me of when my father used to punish me and say, this is going to hurt me more than it hurts you, and it's for your own good, and all that kind of stuff. Support is usually something positive, but it can mean almost anything. Quite right. However, assuming positive intentions, support here should mean just what the director said, in terms of the curricular supports. And what I think is very important here tonight is the reaffirmation of what everybody here seems to agree we believe in. And that is, very specifically, nothing vague about professional judgment. We all know what that is, and we should reaffirm that. And it's not vague at all as to what it means. This is about student safety, wellness, and inclusivity. This has nothing to do with human growth and development. This has nothing to do with defying the government's right to move something from grade 5 to grade 7. If they're going to do that, they're going to do it, and we will have to comply. Much of this is cross-curricular in nature. The kinds of questions that are going to come up in a classroom aren't necessarily going to be in health class if they have to do with student safety, wellness, and inclusivity. In fact, it's just as likely to happen on the playground or in the vice principal's office when it's time for some sort of discipline.
Okay.
Right? It could happen in any class at all. And educators these days are being encouraged to look at things in a cross-curricular sort of fashion. So no, the motion is not about HPE, and it's very specific about student safety, wellness, and inclusivity, and our support as a board for teachers' professional judgment.
Madam Chair, can I ask a question?
You can push your button and you can get in line. Trustee Lawton.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Chair. Even though this motion arises from 6.3, Trustee Crocker has said this far more eloquently than I can. I see this motion as a statement of support of our teaching staff as we begin a new school year. Student safety, wellness, and inclusivity is something that this board stands for and believes in. I will support this motion.
Thank you. Trustee Kay McDonald.
Thank you. Through the chair. Now, based on Trustee Crocker's preamble, my concern still, as with the deferral, is that if the motion passes, it will be perceived as opposing a new directive from the Ministry of Education. I'm concerned that in the history of this province, a board has never given such a directive that could be seen as to contravening the minister or the Ministry of Education. I'm concerned that staff may perceive that they can oppose the direction of the Ministry of Education. We have always told the public regarding concerns about sex ed that we have to follow the curriculum. So I urge my colleagues tonight to do the same. We have to think about the legality around this. The motion is vague as it is, and I'm not sure if staff will get confused, because if you look around the table, as trustees, as we're sitting here, we have people that are confused. And to me, I think you just think about that multiplying exponentially. I would hate to think that someone violates the direction of the ministry based on this motion, and another colleague calls the snitch line, and now we are held culpable. If you read on page 36, the end of the letter, it says, any action your board takes to oppose the repeal of the curriculum and the government's plan to implement that policy change prior to the consultations would be an important contribution to the public advocacy on this issue. So, in my opinion, you could have staff that will see this as our action to oppose the repeal of the curriculum. And it could be interpreted by some as a carte blanche to do whatever they want. We have to think about, what about future directives from this board? Today, it's HPE. Tomorrow, it could be math. It could be prayers. It could even be anti-black racism. I think we have to be very clear and cautious in proceeding. The motion, I agree, does not mention HPE, but Trustee Crocker, in his preamble, heavily used examples of HPE to support the motion. So again, to someone reviewing this will see this as an HPE initiative. Also, this was dealt with tonight as a response to a letter that is clearly in opposition to the changes to the HPE. So, I think that again, it's blurry lines. It may be interpreted as a green light for civil disobedience. Now, I know it's not your intent to incite staff to disobey the ministry, but I do have great concerns about the confusion that will occur surrounding this motion. So I urge trustees to not support it. And that being said, I think it is quite clear from the trustees sitting at this table that we do support our staff. And I think there's no doubt we're not in a time where there's any tension or confusion as to the support that is here at the trustee table. And I think there are other ways to show our support for our staff without confusing and potentially leading some staff to disobey a directive from our boss, the Minister of Education. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Green, have you spoken to this motion before?
I have a question.
All right. Question of clarification.
Question of clarification. Now, again, want to support my colleagues, but I got question of clarification. If this motion had an intent and does not have nothing to do with the HPE, then why the motion did not come on the table when the chair asked, is there any motion or petition? Why it did not come? And in my colleagues reading the motion, it specifically talk about the things that the Premier talks about. The motion then should have come on the table at that time.
Trustee Green,
And-
it
no,
is
no,
a
no,
question.
I'm getting to my
It is a-
question. I'm getting to my question. I'm getting to my
No,
question.
I heard your question.
Okay, so then the question I want to ask then, Okay, why, if this has nothing to do with the directive, why is it risen out of the letter and not come at the beginning of the meeting where we normally introduce motion?
Who are you asking that question of, Trustee Green?
Well, I'm asking I can ask the mover of the motion, or I can ask the chair.
I'm asking you, who are you asking
Okay.
the question of?
My colleague Robert, can you answer that for me then, please?
Robert, here we go.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Trustee Green. I'm happy to answer that question. As you know, I did send a motion out to all the trustees to give them time to read it. It's quite a short motion. I did discuss with the chair, since I was asking leave, and I also put this in my email to trustees, that I would be looking for the 2/3, and through the good graces of Trustee DeCruz, we turned out not to have to do that, and I'm happy about that. I felt it was urgent myself because school starts on Tuesday, and having been a teacher myself, I know that there are a range of emotions surrounding that day. It's a nerve-wracking day for the most confident of us, and I just really wanted to make sure that that teachers and school administrators, school workers, I like to call them, felt that the board had their back. As for its position in the agenda, it did come up after the agenda was printed, and so the chair and I discussed where best to put it, and that's what we agreed on. So I did, in my view, although I'm not the chair, it could have gone elsewhere in the agenda, and I'd have been perfectly happy with that.
Thank you, Trustee Crocker. No. No, I think he answered your question.
No, I need to have some
No.
clarification. I need to have clarification, Chair. And you can't deny me my democratic right.
I can, by the way. But, all right, push your button. I can, by the way. But go ahead, you've already had a lot of airtime, Trustee Green. Go ahead.
Don't let this get political, please.
I know.
Thank you.
I know.
Okay? Now, I hear you, Trustee Crocker, and Trustee Crocker, one of your biggest supporters. But the question is, so then, in this case, the question I have, why didn't it then place as a notice of motion then? Thank you.
And I'm going to answer that question.
I asked Trustee Crocker. Thank you.
Oh, for heaven's sakes. Trustee Crocker, I hope you have the same answer as I do.
Chair, I think you and I are in agreement. I did answer that question.
And what was your answer, Trustee Crocker?
My answer had to do with the fact that Tuesday, Labor Day Tuesday,
Correct.
is the first day of school.
Thank you.
We don't meet again until after that date. And my concern, in addition to the safety and well-being and inclusivity that we promise our students and our families, would also be felt by our employees as a board.
Thank you. Trustee Green, does that answer your question?
I am fine, thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Singh.
Sure. I just wanted to say that I will be abstaining for two reasons. One, I think we should hear the update regarding the HPE curriculum before we make a decision like this, which is coming. Listen to what our staff has been working on. And secondly, I thought it was addressing HPE, and in particular because it was reference to the snitch line, I thought we were addressing that, and I would have been supportive of something much more specific. But this has turned into something that's not very clear. I think we should be clear, and I am concerned about a snitch line, so I would have been very open to something specific to HPE. As this came out of the letter from HPE, I was assuming it was, but I don't know if it is or not still. So I'm going to be abstaining from this, but I wanted to put for the record that I was looking for a motion on HPE, and that's why I was open to a deferral earlier. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other comments about the motion from
Madam
any
Chair.
trustees who haven't spoken before?
I did.
You're
the
done.
motion.
You're done. I see you right here. You're done, according to the bylaws. Can I ask a question of clarification of the mover of the motion? Trustee Crocker, when you were introducing the motion, Your very last comment was, and I can't remember it all verbatim, but it was, "We're with you." I believe you said, "We're with you." And I was wondering, because we were talking about the ETFO position on HPE, I just want you to clarify for me that "we're with you" means we're with you teachers, or we're with you Federation?
Thank you for the question, Chair. As you know, I'm a better worlder. I see everybody all together. I find it very hard to distinguish among the interests of teachers, school administrators, TAs, students, families, board members, general community members who may or may not have children anywhere near a school. I guess really you're asking me is, what is this? When I said the board is with you on this and together we will get through it. I don't fully know myself, none of us does, what this is. I think there are a lot of surprises coming down the track. But what I would like our teachers to hear, our TAs, school administrators, our students and families to hear, is that we're all on the same page, that we have common cause. I would like to think that we have common cause with the Ministry of Education as well. And when all this started after the election, the optimist in me said, I don't know how many people who were elected in June have actually read the curriculum document and whether they understand what's a teacher prompt as opposed to something that says, thou shalt teach this. And I honestly felt then, as I feel now, is you need to give people time to process it and to understand all that.
But
What's going to come out of that, I don't know, Chair.
But Trustee Crocker, let me put it another way, and I'm speaking from the chair, and I just want clarification. We are obviously somewhat opposed to the Federation position. It's not as clear as we don't support all of your position, but the position of ETFO is clear that it is encouraging teachers to, agreed, use their professional judgment, but at the same time they're saying they're opposed to the ministry position. So when you say we were talking about the union, I think this is an important point. We're with you. Does that mean we're with you and the union or a federation, or we're with you teachers? I think there's maybe a fine line, but for me, it's a big deal. Okay, because this board has been very clear that we will not break the law.
So if I may then, Chair, that's not what the motion says. The motion does not make reference to breaking the law.
No, I know that, but you said it.
So when I say the board is with you on this, this means student safety, wellness, and inclusivity. So out of the curriculum, that would include things like sexting. You know, that's something that kids need to know about in 2018 that wasn't there 15 years ago. That would include things like cyberbullying, and those questions are going to come up outside, in many cases, of the HPE curriculum. So that's where I say we reaffirm that we're with the teachers, okay, and that we are also with their union representatives in this regard.
Okay, I think you have clarified in my mind what you meant.
Madam Chair, a point of order.
Okay.
Robert's Rule of Order states that a point of clarification must be heard before a question is called on a motion. And I have a point of clarification.
Okay.
Okay, I thought I heard Trustee Crocker says that this motion is not related to the sex education. Am I correct?
Oh, sorry.
Because I need this clarity before I can make a decision.
Just a minute. I have to turn on Trustee Crocker's mic. Okay.
Thank you, Chair. I know we have a verbatim report of everything that was said here. May I hear the question again, Trustee Williams?
No, I thought I heard you say this motion is not related to the sex education. Am I correct?
I'm not sure. I think what I probably said, what I meant to say was that it's not just about that. It's about something much bigger than that.
Okay, well, that's
That
not
it's-
what
that
you
it's-
said.
That it's cross-curricular.
Okay.
So thank you for your question for clarification then and allowing me to clarify.
Okay.
Okay, Trustee
I'm
Williams?
Still, I'm still a bit confused. Because
That's
I want-
fine,
I want to know
but
if
you
it's
wanted a question of clarification. I think Trustee Crocker, I think he answered your question directly. He talked about cross-curricular.
Okay, well, I asked whether or not this motion is related.
He said that his intent was that it be cross-curricular.
Okay. So no, that's clear to me.
Thank you.
So
That
it,
will
so,
have to make-
so it is related, but it's not just related to that.
I know, I'm
Oh.
clear.
Ah,
Okay. Can
I'm
I
still
move on,
confused.
please? I think
it's
he
related,
answered.
but it's not related.
And that's the big part.
Yes, it's...
Trustee B. McDonald.
Thank you, Chair. I've been listening patiently here, and, you know, the motion was introduced by reading two articles related to what? HPE. It came out of the motion 6.3, which I objected to, but then we needed a two-thirds vote because it's not arising, and I'll talk to you, Chair, later about, you know, the two-thirds.
Two-thirds.
But anyway, it's obviously, it's getting very muddy. I personally heard comments that I think it puts us in, as a board, Trustee McDonald certainly made it quite clear on that. And I don't want to get into a fight with the Minister of Education. We need to work with them. We need to follow the laws as we are redirecting curriculum. And let's be honest, our staff is the best in the province and country, and we support them. There's never been a question of that. If you want to bring a motion and talk about HPE, we can vote on that. But to bring a motion that is not, as now I just heard clarified, but was preambled in and we put in the meeting of the minutes and be recorded on audio, that it was with the preamble, it's HPE all over it. What do people in the news love to do? Snip it, oh, suddenly we have the Peel against the government. I'm sorry, I can't do that, and I respect your intention. I 100% support our staff. I think they're, as I said, the best. And so I just, please, let's just let this sleeping dog lie and deal with other issues. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee K. McDonald, you have spoken before. Okay.
Thank you. Trustee Crocker, you mentioned about sexting. Do you know if it's out of the curriculum? With the new curriculum that they have? Is there a directive that's saying you can't talk about sexting? Thank you.
I can't give you chapter and verse on that, but I would certainly hope not. I mean, that's not part of human growth and development. That's what's changed in the document. I don't know the answer.
Okay, no, you implied, I thought you were implying sexting when you spoke. Thank you.
Trustee McDonald, let's ask an expert. Not with all due respect, Trustee Crocker.
Well, I'm not an expert.
Director Joshua.
Through you, Chair, and certainly I'm not the expert. There are many people that have some specific understanding of the intricacies of the curriculum, but there are areas in the revised HPE curriculum that definitely do address and help support students to be aware of issues of privacy, safety, and responsible use, as well as the potential abuse of technology, particularly when it is promoting hatred. That's on page 64 of the document, so it's very clear that that will continue to be part of what's addressed in this curriculum. So adhering to this revised HPE curriculum, you will still assure that teachers will be able to support those conversations in their classroom.
Okay. All right. So No other speakers. Trustee Singh, have you spoken to this before? So is this a question you have or a comment? I'm sorry, according to the bylaws, I can't recognize you. No, I don't. Trustee Crocker, you wish to close debate on this?
I believe that the questions for clarification have given me ample opportunity to do that.
Thank you. All right, so the motion as it was originally stated, and if anybody needs that clarification, happy to provide that. The motion is on the floor. I ask that all those in favor of the motion, raise your hands. 1, 2, 3. All those opposed to the motion. All those abstaining in the motion. 2, 3. Okay. The motion fails. I don't know, I don't count, but I know it failed because in order to pass, it needed 7 yeses, 7 approvals, and we didn't have them. So, can we move on? Thank you very much. We do not have any delegations this evening, so we will move on to Section 8. 8.1 is the response to the delegation of Stan Taylor regarding access to school council meetings. Someone like to put this on the floor for me? Trustee Nurse, seconded by Trustee Cameron. Are there any questions or comments? All those in favor? Carried. 9.2 are the recommendations of the Audit Committee of June 14th. I know we have them memorized completely and remember that meeting totally. Trustee Lawton, would you like to put them on the floor? Thank you. Seconded by Trustee Williams. Any questions or comments? All those in favor? Carried. Oh, and congratulations, Trustee Lawton, who was acclaimed. I thought there was a fight for that position, but he was acclaimed as chair of the Audit Committee. Ah, there you go. Yeah. 9.3 is the Ontario Public School Boards Association membership fee for 2018-19. It is here for approval. The amount for this year is $254,626. No, it's not. It's $287,727.38. I do believe, though, some of that is refundable from our HST. Is that correct? Thank you. So it's around there, but we will get a percentage of that HST back, as we do with all our purchases, by the way. Would someone like to put this on the floor? Trustee Green, seconded by Trustee Williams. Are there any questions or comments? Trustee Cameron.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Chair, could I ask what that percentage of HST is that we're getting back? This is a pretty large amount. Do we get all 13% back?
Controller Lattiche? 7%? 7%, about half, about half.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Any other comments? All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay, well, let's move on then to 10.1 is the appointment to the Special Education Advisory Committee. Again, this is an approval, and it is an alternate representative for the Down Syndrome Association of Peel. Now, where's the name? Oh, there it is. No, wait a minute. That is, oh yeah, it's Mary. Okay, yes, it's Andrew Mystery. Okay, Trustee Lawton, would you like to put it on the floor? Thank you. Seconded by, who's on that? Trustee Crocker. Any questions, comments, all those in favor? Thank you. 10.2 is the update regarding HPE curriculum oral report. Okay, Director Joshua, you can't repeat anything you said before. I'm only kidding. I'm only kidding.
Through you, Chair, I know that I appreciate that there were a few questions that were asked, and I made a few preliminary comments, so I will try not to repeat everything, but please understand that we're well aware of the ministry's directive, and we intend to support our educators to adhere to in grades 1 to 8, adhere to the revised HPE curriculum. Largely, it's similar to the 2010 curriculum that was revised from 1998, but there are some specific differences in comparison to the 2015 curriculum. As you know, our secondary teachers will be continuing with the 2015 issued HPE curriculum. But without getting into the details again of the specifics, but I'm certainly happy, along with Associate Director Graywall and our Superintendent Graham, Curriculum and Instructional Supports, can answer any specific questions. But what our team has done is we've looked very carefully at the elementary HP curriculum reissued compared to the 2015, and we've looked very carefully at what the differences are in terms of physical education, as I mentioned, and the specific areas around human development and sexual health. There are some areas in this revised elementary HPE curriculum that do still address the importance of online safety, gender identities, sexual orientation, and consent. And we are confident that we will be able to support our educators with their professional judgment to ensure the safety, inclusion, and equity and all their needs in terms of human rights. We do have a document, and many around this board may be aware of a document that was developed in-house entitled The Future We Want, which provides educators with lesson prompts, lesson starters and plans, and resources that will help them across curriculum to address those specific needs of our students so that they will feel safe, they will feel that sense of belonging, and will be able to address the very specific needs that our students of today require in terms of their understanding. The particular areas in the revised curriculum that will still be addressed will be those of mental health, body image, substance abuse, violence, harassment, child abuse, gender identity, sexual orientation, illness with specific reference to particular sexual transmitted diseases. Poverty will continue to be discussed within an open, caring, sensitive way and in an atmosphere of mutual respect. There are also specific references, as I mentioned, to use of and misuse of technology, and there are references to the study of healthy relationships, particularly with respect to bullying, harassment, and violence prevention, and a focus on sexist, racist, and homophobic behavior and how to deal with that. So within this revised curriculum, we are confident that we'll be able to support our educators to adhere to the ministry direction and address the needs of our students in a safe and caring and inclusive environment. I, along with my Associate Director and Superintendent, would be happy to answer any specific questions with respect to the curriculum. Our department is planning to issue a memo with those resources and supports by Thursday this week. Thank you.
Are there any questions or comments of the Director? Trustee Green.
Thank you, Director Joshua, for that presentation. And so we, we must support our staff and ensuring that they're doing what best for the student that are in the classroom. But just one question, is there a communication plan in place? Because oftentimes when these things are happening, the communication piece is the last piece to get out there, and I want to make sure that there's a communication plan in place, that not only that the staff are receiving this information, but I believe that parents have a right to receive this information too, and to know that the board is following the directive and that we are supporting our staff to do the best job that they can do for our students. So is there a communication plan that is in place to communicate that, not just to staff, but to the larger community?
And through you, Chair, thank you for that question. Yes, we've issued, first of all, a communication to staff across the system, and then there'll be some specifics, as I mentioned, to teachers, but we do have a next step beyond that to provide clear communication to our community, our parents and others in the community, so they recognize clearly what is being taught in this revised HPE curriculum and what is not going to be taught specifically in this curriculum. We'll also outline in this communication emphasis on the opportunity that we have always had for parents to ask questions and directly contact their teachers with regard to how students are being taught in the classroom. We want to reference and acknowledge our long-standing process and believe that that direct communication, asking questions, raising issues or concerns directly with the teacher is the best process in terms of ongoing communication as things continue to unfold in the classroom.
Just a follow-up.
Thank you for that. Now, in terms of how will this, staff will get this, but how, we got kids in the school at maybe, say, middle school, high school level. How will this also roll out to them? Because we want our students to know that they are safe, not because of the change, but we want to also let them know that they are safe, the safety piece. So how is that going to roll down to the students?
Go ahead. No, you're okay. There you go.
Thank you. Through the chair, we have been providing and will continue to provide key messages to our school administrators, to work with staff, to ensure that all of the supports and messages from a positive climate standpoint, from a mental health standpoint, from a safe schools and inclusion standpoint, those messages have not changed. Okay. And they will continue. This is part of what our schools, I'm thankful that our schools continue to deliver that message, have for some time, and that will not change in this new year.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Green, will you move the oral report, please? Seconded by Trustee Lawton. All those in favor? Carried. We're moving on. Are there any reports? No, wait a minute. No, we're moving to 14.1, which is the response to the written questions of Trustee Kay McDonald at the June 19th meeting. Trustee McDonald.
Yes, thank you. I'd just like to say a big thank you for the actually detailed answers to my questions. I've already forwarded them along. Also, it's kind of funny because one of my schools, we had Camp Sale at McHugh's, and they were talking about just that. So I told them, I said, wait for my response on the August the 28th. So thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Thank you. Seconded by Trustee Cameron. All those in favor? Carried. We'll move to 14.2, which is the questions from Trustee Singh at June 19th meeting. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to also thank staff from all the different departments that were needed to answer these questions. I just had one regarding the air conditioning, the main office, library, and learning commons. When did we start that practice, just out of curiosity? Like, is it very recent, or is it a few years back, or?
Mr.
Rough,
Wright?
like 3-4 years back.
Can you, okay.
Also
I couldn't, 7 years ago.
7 years ago, we started air conditioning the main office, library, and learning commons?
Yes.
Okay, all right, just didn't know that. Thank you.
Okay, seconded by Trustee Williams. All those in favor of that response? Thank you. Okay, are there any reports from trustee representatives on councils or associations? Trustee Green.
I just want to say to my colleague, the 28 and 29 is the Ontario School Board Association meeting for the start coming school year, and Trustee Andrews and myself will be there representing this board. And based on conversation that we had today, I think it would be, if there's any question, any concern that you would like us to address, maybe send them in an email to the chair, and the chair then can pass it on to either myself or Trustee Andrews, and we'll make sure those questions are asked or brought forward to the table. Thank you.
Thank you. Any others? Seeing none, then can we go to question period? And I'll start down with Trustee Crocker. Question or comment? No, I'm sorry, I didn't, no, okay. Trustee McDonald.
Thank you. I have two comments. I just want to publicly thank the amazing staff at McHugh's. We had a tragedy in our school over the summer, and it was during camp sale, and it was just amazing to see the staff and also the support from the central office for the parents, the community, and it was greatly appreciated, and the leadership by the principal, Jane Marshall, who just went above and beyond. So I just wanted to publicly thank everybody for that. And I also wanted to comment that welcome both student trustees, and it was so refreshing when Trustee Chunkran came up to me and said, "Hi, I remember you from Agnes Taylor." She was an office helper, so I wouldn't have recognized you. I mean, I probably last saw you, I don't know, a good 10 years ago or so. So welcome, and it's a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Williams. No. Trustee Singh. Trustee Green. No. Trustee McDonald. No. Moving over here. Trustee Oris Nadanova. Question. Comment. I'm sorry, I called the wrong. Okay, can you push your button? There you go, and your name's on there too. There you are. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Once again, on behalf of Amanpreet and I would just like to say how much we are both looking forward to this year. We're at a time right now when addressing student voice is incredibly important in addressing and solving the issues that our students find to be prevalent. We are so honored and thankful to be representing them this upcoming year. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Chankran, do you have a question or a comment? Just, yeah, you push your button. That's it. We haven't practiced that one. Yes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Through you, I'd just like to sort of reflect on what Trustee Oris Nadanova just sort of spoke on. We're so very honored, we're very humbled to be working amongst all of you. It's such a privilege, as well as being able to represent student voice. Like she said, it is so very important to take a stand and sort of voice all the concerns that the students have, as well as be the voice that the students need to have heard here at the board. So we'd just like to thank you once again.
Thank you. And, you know, student voice, we've said it's important. I think it's becoming even more important. I mean, we have yet to debate or discuss or even grapple with the cannabis issue. That is a huge issue for this board, and the only reason why we're quiet is because we're confused too, or not sure of exactly how this is going to roll out. But what an important topic, and I know that student voice will be extremely important in that discussion. So welcome. Trustee DeKroob, Trustee Andrews, Trustee Lawton, no, Trustee Cameron.
Thank you, Madam.
Huh?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would just like to say thank you to Associate Director Gill and Controller Wright for what appears to have been massive amount of work for the facility staff during the summer. Mm-hmm. I followed on Twitter and Facebook very closely so many schools from Lake Ontario to Highway 9, from Winston Churchill to the Caledon-Kingtown line, which creates the borders for this board, and how much work was done at so many schools in Mississauga, Brampton, and Caledon. It could only speak to the energy, the foresight on the part of our facility staff. And those schools will be ready a week today for 156,000 children, to welcome them through our doors because of the amazing work of so many of our staff. And I saw so many of my schools loaded with, the parking lots were loaded with cars, and our teachers are back and getting ready, and it looks really beautiful. So thank you, Randy, Jaspel, and to all of your teammates.
Thank you. Vice Chair Nurse, question. I don't have a question, I have a comment. I hope the board will indulge me. I have another apology, but in fact, the bylaw E27, it does require 2/3 to deal with a motion that is emerging from business, or any motion that is requested to be dealt with at that meeting. So I apologize. I thought that was true, and then, I don't know, some people down this side changed my mind. But sure. Sure.
Okay, if you flip to page 14 of your bylaws, which I'm going to flip to, where it talks about notice of motion.
Correct.
It says, section D25, members who wish to introduce new business, comma, not on the agenda, comma, shall give notice at one meeting of intention to move a specific motion at the next regular meeting.
Yes.
Not on the agenda.
Yes.
Which means, this means, notices are not required for things that are on the agenda.
That is correct.
Yeah, so,
Well, the next paragraph, I believe, talks about it.
sorry.
Okay, that's exactly what E27 says. But it is, still, you require 2/3.
No, you don't.
Okay, we can debate this later.
Okay.
Okay? Okay,
But
thank you.
don't-
Are there any questions from the public? Yes, if you'd come down to the podium, please, sir. Ma'am. There you go. It's a ma'am, sorry. Yes, please. I think it will be on, but you may have to push a button, and if you would identify yourself, please, for the record.
Hi.
Hi.
Good evening. My name is Barbara McFarlane. I am currently a teacher in the Peel District School Board. My question is, I do understand, and I read the information that was sent out by our Board of Directors, informing us that you will be furnishing us teachers with lesson plans to support us in teaching the new phys ed curriculum as the changes happen with our new government. So my question is the timeline. How soon are we expecting that lesson plan to come out to us as teachers?
Director Joshua.
Yes, that's correct.
Thank you. Through the chair, we will be providing that information to you by Thursday of this week, but rest assured that much of the curriculum for the first part, for a large part of the school year, will be the same as what you've taught, and you'll find that the areas that are specifically changed don't come until later on in the year, so we're confident that we'll have a significant amount of time to provide this to you. You'll have time to work with it before you actually have to do any specific delivery in your classroom.
Thank you. My second question is, we are seeing changes happening with human growth and development part of the phys ed curriculum. My other question is, now that we are having cannabis legalized in Canada, I think it is, starting officially in October, now that we teach substance abuse, which is also part of the phys ed curriculum, are we going to see some changes in that area as well in terms of how we as teachers deliver that in terms of substance abuse?
That's a good question. I just said we haven't got this figured out yet, but I am sorry. Director Joshua?
So I'd be happy to just ask our superintendent, Mark Harmon, who's been working very closely on the information that's coming from the ministry regarding cannabis and how that will impact what should be imparted in the classroom. So if you'll indulge me for just a minute, I'll ask Superintendent Harmon to provide a response.
Sure, thank you, Director Joshua. So
There
we
he is.
have been
He's
working
up
with
there.
the partners at Peel Police, Peel Public Health, as well as other experts in the field to prepare a variety of resources around the law, around the health curriculum, etc. Any way to support teachers going forward. Those will be rolled out, we expect, in a series of PD sessions starting in November. So news about that should be coming out first week of school. We're just waiting for some funding to be finalized by the ministry, but there will be support for that coming forward.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions from the public? Seeing none. Where am I? Oh, I need to make another change for the record. The bylaw that pertained to this evening is D25. The other one was a committee. This is the board. Okay, no, we can't do that, can we? So we're in recess so I'll ask the board to take a little refreshment break and then be back in the Brampton room to complete what we were doing then. And let's say 5-10 minutes. No, I'll talk to you in a minute. Yeah, no, we're going to move now. Thank you. Okay? Pardon me? Yeah, it does conclude the public portion. We're not coming back. Thank you.